welcome to Talk on Khalid. Hey, what of you? Do you think making autofiction film is risky for directors? Because there are so very personal parts in their lives. Okay, so it's not the same as an autobiography, right? Vidya, how will you explain what autofiction is? Okay, hello everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to Talk on Complete. I'm Nisa as your host. Today we're going to talk about something that's becoming more common in contemporary literature, especially movies, stories that feel personal, intimate, and close to real life. And a lot of filmmakers today don't just want to entertain, they want to express their emotions, memories, and experiences. And from the idea comes a unique style, autofiction. And it mixes real life with imaginations, and we'll break it down together today. But of course, I won't be discussing this alone. I'm here with Widya and Hansa. Hi, both of you. How are you?
Hey, I'm good.
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Okay, alright. Let's start simple. Widya, how will you explain what autofiction is?
So, according to Campbell and Josephine, in an EBSCO article, autofiction is basically a life story inspired by the creator's real experiences, but with fictional elements added, so it's half real and half imagination.
Okay, so it's not the same as an autobiography, right?
Not at all. Autobiographies stick to real facts. Autofiction allows changes, maybe names, events, feelings, anything the creators wants to adjust.
Oh, interesting. Hansa, how does it differ from biopics or documentaries?
So it's actually really different. According to Megan Parkin, biopics try to be more accurate about someone's life, and documentaries are even more factual. But autofiction doesn't really care about perfect accuracy. It focuses more on emotional honesty, about how the creator felt and not the exact details.
Okay, so it's more about the truth of emotion than the truth of events?
Yes, exactly.
To understand autofictions better, let's look at some examples. We picked up three movies from three directors who use autofiction in different ways. Okay, the first is The Fabelman. The movie follows young Sammy Fabelman, and he discovers his passion for filmmaking in post-World War II America. Sammy begins making short films with his camera and simple tools. And this movie is inspired by Steven Spielberg's childhood. So, Hansa, what makes this movie autofiction?
So what makes this movie autofiction is a story about Spielberg himself. So Spielberg basically retells his childhood, like his love for filmmaking, his family issues, and how movies help him understand his emotions. It is personal for him, but not literally his life story. He changes a lot of the details, but the emotional truth stays.
Yeah, and we see how filmmaking becomes his way to cope and express himself, right?
Yes, and that emotional honesty is what makes it autofiction.
Oh, the second is Pain and Glory, a movie inspired by Pedro Almodovar, a film director who suffered from physical pains and loneliness. Because of that, he cannot work and feels stuck in his life. Now, moving to something poetic. Pain and Glory, Vidya?
So in this movie, the main character Salvador Mo is like Almodovar's alter ego. Through him, the movie explores Almodovar's health problems, his memories of his mother, and his struggles as an aging artist. The tone is more dreamlike and reflective.
Yes. So it feels like a personal confession from Almodovar's, but stylized more beautifully.
Exactly. He's not telling exact events, but he's telling the feelings behind them.
Okay, and the last movie is Roma, a film from 2018 inspired by Alfonso Cuarón's childhood, especially by Libo Rodriguez, his life nanny, and which takes a different angle, Hansa.
Okay, so Cuarón, the film director, recreates his childhood memories too, but through the perspective of Cleo, who is the woman who raised him growing up. So instead of telling his own perspective, he tells the perspective who he honors, someone important in his life.
Oh, so the style is very calm and intimate, right?
Right. So the small daily moments like washing clothes, walking home, that moments carry deep emotional weight. It's autofiction through atmosphere and not direct storytelling.
Yeah, and you can feel it's a memory he wants to preserve.
Okay, what I finding interesting is that there's three films feels very personal, but many people still relate to them. Why do you think the audiences can connect to stories that are not about their own lives?
I think it's because emotions itself is really universal. Even if we didn't grow up like the characters, we understand feelings like loneliness, love, or confession. The details of the emotions are personal, but the emotions are shared through us, the audience.
Yeah, and autofiction focus on small moments like daily life, silence, and memories. Those things exist in everyone's life, so the audience feels close to the story.
Okay, so from these three films, which one feels the most honest to you personally?
From me, I choose the Fabelmans. Spielberg really opens up about his family, and I think it takes courage to put something that personal in a movie, in that movie.
Yes, the Fabelmans is really interesting too, but for me, it's pain and glory because the honesty isn't really loud, but it's very emotional. It feels like Almodovar is showing us a side of himself that he rarely reveals.
Okay, maybe I'll pick Roma. It captures honest to through simplicity, and every scene feels sincere, like a memory frozen in time. Before we move on, I want to ask one more thing. Do you think making autofiction film is risky for directors? Because they are showing very personal parts in their lives.
I think yes, it is risky. When you use your own life, people may judge you and your family or your past. But at the same time, that risk is what makes the film powerful, right? And it feels honest, not fake.
Okay, that's true. Hansa,
Yes.
do you think all filmmakers are brave enough to do that?
That's a really hard question, but I can't say for every filmmakers. I think autofiction really needs courage, like Wiki said. So you need to accept that people might misunderstand you. But if the director is sincere, you can actually see from the movies because the audience feels that honesty.
Okay, now let's talk about the science of autofiction film from the examples that we've talked about.
Okay, so the first characters is the main character are usually the filmmaker's alter ego. So they use different names, but it represents the filmmakers. Like we've seen in Steven Spielberg through Sammy in The Fabelmans and Pedro Almodovar through Salvador Malo in Pain and Glory.
And the second one is the story. The story is very personal and intimate. Sometimes it feels like we are entering someone's private life, and the emotion also feel raw and connected to real experiences.
Yes, and there are usually many reflective moments or quiet scenes that show the internal conflict.
Common themes include family, childhood, and identity too.
Okay, is there one more characteristic that you think is important in autofiction films?
I think autofiction often makes us aware that we are watching someone's memory. So the line between the director and the character feels very thin. It's like the director is quietly talking to the audience.
And that's why this film feels intimate, right? We're not just watching a story, we also entering someone's inner world.
Right, right.
Okay, there is an interesting question. Does autofiction always have to be personal? Can it be about a company or something bigger, maybe?
For me, Autofiction is based on creator's personal experience, so it's not really about a company. It's about how the creator feels about something.
Yeah, so for example, a movie called Lady Bird. Did you guys know that movie?
Yeah,
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 I
I
know.
know.
Yes, so the Lady Bird is not about a place or an institution, right? It's about the director, Greta Gerwig herself, her emotional memories from her teenage years.
Okay, so if a company appears in autofiction, it must be connected to someone's personal emotions, not the company's history. Is that right?
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Some people might ask, why don't directors just make fiction films? Why do they choose autofictions instead of creating completely fictional stories?
I think autofiction gives more emotional freedom. When directors use their own experiences, they don't need to imagine emotions, so they already know how it feels.
Yes, and sometimes fiction movies they create distance, so autofiction feels closer and more honest, so the audience feels that story comes from a real place.
Okay, so autofictions is not about being creative with stories, but being honest with feelings.
Exactly. The creativity is in how they shape their memories, not in inventing new lives.
Okay, I want to ask something. Why do you think autofictions films are becoming more popular today?
I think people nowadays they want stories that feels real, that relate to their reality. So social media is also makes us more open about personal life, so we connect more with honest stories.
And audiences are tired of perfect characters, so autofiction shows weaknesses and mistakes so that may feels more natural.
So autofictions fits our generation's need for authenticity. Uh, but do you think autofiction has weakness or limitations? Maybe.
For me, yes, maybe sometimes it can feel too personal and not everyone can relate, so some audience might feel excluded.
And also, when directors focus too much on themselves, the story can become self-centered. So balance is really important.
So, autofictions works best when personal stories connect to universal emotions.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay, so what makes each of the directors that we have talked about earlier different?
So what I love is how each director expresses their life differently. So for example, Spielberg himself is really direct with his emotion, and Almodovar is pretty symbolic, and Quaron himself is reflective.
Yeah, and that show how autofiction is not just one style. It can be loud, quiet, colorful, emotional, or simple, depending on what the directors want to reveal.
Okay, but in the end, all of them use personal experiences to create meaningful cinema, and these three examples help us understand how autofiction works before we discuss our main film.
Right, they built the foundation for understanding how real memories can be transformed into storytelling.
Okay, alright. That brings us to the end of today's episode. We've talked about autofiction, how filmmakers mix real memories with fictional elements, and we explore some powerful examples that show this technique in different ways.
Yeah, and we saw that autofiction is not just a way of telling stories, it's also a way for directors to look back on their own lives and turn personal moments into something meaningful.
Yeah, so for me, the actual key point of autofiction is, like I said earlier, is about emotional honesty. It's not about being factually correct, but about expressing real feelings in a creative way.
Okay, right. And that's why these films feel relatable, even though they come from personal experiences and the emotions are universal.
Hope this helped listeners see films not just as an entertainment but as reflection of the people who create them. Hopefully you now have a clearer idea of what autofiction is.
Okay, thank you very much to our guests, Hansa and Vidya, for the insight. And thanks to everyone for listening. And see you in the next episode.
Bye bye.
Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Salah. Okay, before we move on, I want to ask one more thing. Bentar, bentar, mending kan mulai kamu hitungin mulai rumahnya nak.